Hey, everybody, welcome to another edition of Thrasher Opera House Presents, our great podcast here for Thrasher Opera House. Jason along with you, joined by Adrian and Meredith of Adrian+Meredith. Welcome to the podcast, friends. How are we?
Oh,
Hello.
We are caffeinated. We are
Caffeinated. Yeah, joining us on a Thursday morning in Tennessee. How are things there, I should say?
Hot.
Muggy, swampy, ready to go to Wisconsin.
Yeah, we're ready to get out of the Tennessee heat.
You know, we've been a little dry for the last few weeks here. We finally got some rain yesterday, and everybody was like the best mood ever. Like we finally got some rain here, so
yeah,
it was
I
so
believe
good.
it. I believe it. Yeah.
So we're not hoping for rain
Summer's
in a couple of weeks from now when you guys are going to do it.
No, it'll be
outdoor
clear
sessions.
skies and
Yeah.
perfect weather.
It's going to be beautiful. That is for sure. I know you guys are based out of Nashville, but you got a great Wisconsin connection. Let's learn about that.
Sure. I am originally from Stevens Point, Wisconsin. I grew up in Stevens Point. I wasn't born there, but I did grow up there. And my folks, my dad still lives in Stevens Point, Wisconsin. My mother moved to Madison, Wisconsin, and my family still lives all in Wisconsin.
Yep.
My immediate family all still live in Wisconsin. So we're very pro Badgers. We're a pro Badger family. We are most of the time a pro Packer family. Not always, but yeah, we still follow a lot of the Wisconsin stuff, and we love to come back, and we do come back every summer at least once. And Meredith here is from Michigan, which
Just the other side of the pond.
we're learning is a very similar state, kind of like a sister state in a lot of ways, and we try to hit that as well. And the Midwest is very kind to us. So.
Yeah, I know you guys are getting set to head out on the road here in just a little bit, and you're going to be traveling Michigan, coming on through Wisconsin, if I get it right, in your Steely van, which I thought was a great.
Steely van.
Hey, yeah, absolutely. Got
for the touring vehicle,
van name.
that's a great name for that. But you got some great stops here in Wisconsin too, outside of us, and you're going to see. I see you're going to play the Potter Shed up there in Shell Lake, which is a cool venue.
Yeah, that's a great one up north.
Oh, we love that one.
Yep.
And you guys are not, this is not new for you coming back for Mile of Music a little bit later too this year in August, right?
Yeah, that's been, honestly, in terms of Wisconsin roots, that's been kind of the resurgence of our return to Wisconsin. I grew up in Wisconsin. I went to UW Stout, and I left Wisconsin after that to pursue more music because back in, I don't know what year that was, a long time ago. 2004, 2005, a lot of those festivals didn't yet exist. And I feel like since I left, there have been so many fantastic festivals and new music venues and things, even like the Cedar Ridge, that have popped up since we left. And Mila Music and, Blue Ox and you guys and these kind of, even Wisconsin Public Radio doing a lot more local music, I feel like has been the reason that we now return more than ever is because there's more music in Wisconsin now than really ever before.
It's been kind of a cool journey. Just even watching Adrian, like when we met, I was still living in Michigan. He wanted to move down to Tennessee, and I think at that point you didn't really feel like you didn't get home very often. You didn't get back to your home state. We didn't feel connected. And
no.
So Mile of Music kind of was our first entry back into Wisconsin and into that scene. And it's just been such a gift. It's given us to be able to come back and reconnect with your home state. So.
And since then, connecting with you guys and connecting with Blue Ox and connecting with even Minneapolis and just that part of the country again and just being able to come back and revisit those roots.
So it's going to be a great summer, and we're excited.
Yeah.
It says a lot. You guys are kind of in the doorstep of the Music Mansion in Nashville, right? And to hear that good words coming about Wisconsin, it's a great place to be.
We have a pretty clear distinction. People say, "Oh, so you moved down to Nashville," and we're like, "Oh yeah, big country stars over here." The truth is that Nashville is a great place for us to live. We've got tons of friends here, a great support network of like-minded people that are all musicians that bring in the mail and feed the cats and do the thing. But our musical home will always be in the Midwest for sure. This is a great place for us to live, but musically, we belong up north for sure.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about that. Kind of, if folks haven't seen the Adrian+Meredith show before, talking to them about what they're in store for coming up here in a few weeks.
Well, musically, it's eclectic.
Yeah, I kind of have like a new way of describing it, just from an origin perspective.
Go ahead.
Adrian and I, we met and we fell in love first, before music was ever kind of on the table. Adrian was out there doing, Adrian Kragowski, former punk band extraordinaire,
country star,
singer-songwriter. And I was in an old-time fiddle band when we met. We met in DC. And kind of the evolution from there is we fell in love, and then we were like, I think this is for real. And then it was like, well, before we even kind of talked about getting engaged and getting married, we're like, well, are we going to start a band? It felt like such a talk about a commitment. We were like, well,
natural progression, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So we started the band, and then we got engaged, and then we got married. And so it's been just honestly such a privilege to be able to do this with your partner and be able to explore the world through music. But musically, we came from two very different sides of the coin. So Adrian coming from punk bands,
rock and roll,
and me coming from an old time, fiddle traditional thing. So it's taken some time. Adrian was doing the singer-songwriter thing when we met, but our set and our sound and our show has really morphed. And I think where it's landed now is joyful. Music should be joyful. And we have a shared upbringing of Polish heritage.
I was going to say, yeah. So
that kind of became our entry
focus.
Point together.
Yeah, that was definitely one of the weird serendipitous things about our relationship as well as the band, is that we both grew up in Polish American households, and our first dates we made pierogies together. And
right. Why wouldn't you?
It was very
naturally,
very natural. Well, natural. It was very natural. The first time my grandparents met her grandparents, they spoke Polish to each other. I mean, just a very strange combination of things. And so we kind of, where the joy comes into our music, and a lot of this is that we did a while ago, and still to this day, incorporate a lot of Eastern European and klezmer music to our sound. And that, Fiddler on the Roof, Ukraine, joyful dancing music is a big part of our set and sound. And it feels very natural to us because we grew up in those households. Our grandparents' house still smells like butter and onions to this day. I mean, I can't imagine the next owner of that house is going to love that smell, but it's never coming out. Exactly. And so, that's part of why we play in the Midwest too, is because we are playing to other Polish American immigrant families. And there are a lot of people we do play who stole the Kishka. Everybody sings along. They know the words. It's actually quite an amazing thing. What's even funnier about that side of the coin is that we also get a chance now to go play in Poland. And we have been to Eastern Europe. And we ask them when we're over there, what do you think of our polka music? And they say, it sounds very American, which we find disappointing. But it's kind of this weird thing where we really truly realize, like, we are Polish American. We're not Polish, and we're not just American. We are Polish American music.
So our music kind of takes you on a journey of American roots music in a lot of ways, from the old time world to the bluegrass world to the immigrant culture and the migrant culture. Obviously, we do a lot of dancing. I do a lot of foot percussion that comes from the tap dance world and the clogging world, and we just want it all to be celebrated. And that's what we want to do now, is connecting people and stories through music.
Yep.
So.
What a great opportunity. What a great kind of belief in how you are doing things as well. Tell me a little bit about the folks that go out on tour with you too, because you got a pretty awesome band that comes along too.
Yeah, I think one of our favorite things, because we are an eclectic band, and I think we try to, kind of drive that home, that we don't sound like a lot of other bands, and especially in Nashville, Tennessee, and we're not playing. There's a plane.
Sorry, helicopters are coming out. We almost went inside, but
I figured you were close to the airport.
Authentic Nashville audio experience.
Some craziness happening at all times.
That's all great.
So we play an eclectic style of music, and living in Nashville, Tennessee, not playing country music very early on, especially when we were kind of getting our footing and what our sound would be, we sounded a little too different for a lot of people, until we kind of realized that there are 2 or 3 or maybe even 4 bands that we do sound very similar to, and we find solace in a small community of other sounding musicians And because of that small community of sounding musicians that think about it very similarly, you know, we've become friends with them, and we've been fortunate to work with them. Some of the bands we're talking about is a band out of Kentucky called the legendary Shack Shakers, who have been touring in the 90s and still tour to this day. There was a band in late 90s during the resurgence of big band music, right in the middle of the Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera era of music, called the Squirrel Nut Zippers and the Cherry Papa Daddies. Yeah. And so the rhythm section from the Squirrel Nut Zippers is now in our band, and we got to record with some of those guys in the last record, and we consider them friends, and we're, you know, being able to bounce ideas off each other and communicate as a community of like-minded musicianship. I think a lot of it has to do with the stylistic choices of how to communicate with an audience on stage, and just and just the showmanship of that era of that big band style of music. We're also really fortunate to be on a roster with Louis Prima Jr. And Louis Prima, you know, back from the 1940s, right. You know, his son is on the roster with us, and just kind of seeing that lineage of, you know, all the way back, and not all the way back to Rat Pack, but almost Rat Pack era big band music, and following that lineage of a traditional style performance of music that is very audience focused.
Yeah.
You know,
so we'll have an upright bass player with us in tow. We'll have a drummer, and can Ken come?
We're still trying to figure out.
It's been the summer of logistics. So we have an awesome saxophone player who's a dear friend.
Yeah.
Adrian's, you know, he was the best man at our wedding.
Yeah.
It's been a great fun time in the last year.
So horn section as well.
He has started joining us on some shows, which is pretty cool to be in a band with your best friend.
Because it's also, you know, that klezmer stuff kind of also falls into hot jazz style music and Django in Paris and that kind of stuff.
But he's also his own, he has his own career as well. So we are looking at flights right now, but we're really hopeful that he might be in tow with us.
There's a very good chance. Good chance.
Yeah. So it'll be a fun time.
We are so excited to have you guys coming on in for the Cedar Ridge Sessions. It's going to be a beautiful night outside amongst the dusk and just kind of taking out in.
Just bring your dancing shoes, because no matter how hard I try, I end up dancing through our entire set. So I always love to find my fellow dancers out there, and I want to reconnect dance and music. It never should have been ever separated. We've forgotten how to move. Yeah. So come ready to move and have a good time for sure.
Stretch your hamstrings, stretch your knees, bring some cortisone, you know.
Maybe we'll do a little warm-up session, just a little session.
You know,
I can lead us in some warm-up yoga if we need to.
It's actually not a half bad idea. I will actually take it myself. Sometimes I could actually use the yoga.
Hey, we are so looking forward to it. Coming up July 27th, the Cedar Ridge Sessions. Adrian+Meredith, thank you so very much for joining us here on the Thrasher Opera House Present podcast, and we'll see you in a few weeks.
Yeah,
absolutely. Can't wait.
Take care.